Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast. Now, as you all know, I'm passionate about exploring how technology is reshaping our lives, our businesses, and indeed our world. But its entire journey also fascinates me, and by that I mean from our past, our present, and indeed future. And they're just a few reasons why I'm excited to speak with Mike England from RS Components today. And for those of you that don't know, RS Components is a trading brand of Electrocomponents plc, a global omni-channel solutions partner for industrial customers and suppliers, which has been supporting and inspiring generations of engineers since 1937. So, of course, I want to learn more about that rich heritage and also how they've evolved through leveraging technology throughout their history and become a business enabler, and the role of digital and technology across their business. And if all that isn't enough, I also hear on the grapevine that Mike grew up in my hometown of Derby and is a Derby County fan too. So I think we're in for a treat today, but enough from me. Let's get Mike onto the podcast right now. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, thanks, Neil. So my name's Mike England, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer at RS Components. Most people would know us as RS, and I'm responsible for the performance and alignment of our global go-to-market approach. We operate in the Americas, in Europe, Middle East and Africa, and in Asia-Pac. So I've got responsibility for the sales and marketing activities, for our product and supply management, for digital and digital transformation, and also for innovation. So that keeps me fairly busy, Neil.
Now, many people listening will not know that since 1937, RS Components has supported generations of engineers with products of all types of applications. So just to bring everyone up to speed, can I ask that you share that story with me and what value RS Components offers today too?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we were founded 1937 in a garage lockup down in West London, near to where Selfridges is today. And there were two founders, Sebastian and Waring, and they identified a opportunity in the market for selling radio spares, which is where RS comes from, radio spares. And they put together a catalogue, which was a pamphlet of radio spares back then, and they sourced the products and they private labelled the product as radio spares. And their motto way back then was customer service with a smile, and it was all about putting the customer first and providing an exceptional customer experience. And that's stayed with us through the years, and through the wartime, the business grew very rapidly, as you can imagine, and they won some contracts with the military through the Second World War, and then coming out of that, expanded their product range from radio spares into a wide range of products, into controls and automation, into electrical, into electronics, which has become a big part of our business. More recently, into single-board computing and the Raspberry Pis that we hear about, and I know that everybody loves playing with. Right the way through to more the industrial product ranges of fluid power and pneumatics and mechanical and bearings and tools and consumables. And something that's been very, very topical more recently, safety products and personal protective equipment. So we really have built a brand of RS in Europe and in Asia Pac, and in the Americas. We acquired a business which trades as Allied Electronics and Automation in the States, and that business many years ago, similar to RS, used to be Radio Shack in the States. So we've got some real heritage there. Taking the business back. Our parent company is Electrocomponents plc, and we're very proud to be an omni-channel partner for industrial customers around the world who are involved in designing, building or maintaining industrial equipment and facilities.
I love that story, especially the heritage and that rich history that you guys have got and how you've continuously evolved with technology throughout the years and seen unprecedented changes along the way. And of course, here we are in 2020 and we're once again navigating our way through uncharted times. So I've got to ask, why do you think digital is more important now than ever?
Well, it's clear that countries around the world are experiencing some pretty strict lockdowns, and whilst that's being released to some degree, it's encouraging that people are carrying out more of their everyday tasks and turning much more to doing business online. And so, it's accelerated multiple businesses around the globe and, made them look very hard at their digital transformation agendas. And what we can see is that, e-commerce is really taking center stage, and it's changing the way that people are thinking. It's changing the way that people are buying. It's changing the way that people are communicating, Neil. I mean, talking to some of our sales teams around the world, even this week, they're really excited by being able to talk to their customers through Zoom or through Teams and other platforms, and are finding it very productive. And they're able to invite, technical people onto the call and some of our suppliers to help solve customer problems. Ordinarily they'd have had to wait for a follow-up meeting and possibly another follow-up meeting and travel in their cars. Now they can do it instantly, which is incredible. We're looking at data that's showing us the increase of online retail sales in March alone at 74% compared to March in 2018. And we can just see that this crisis, is going to be with us for a period of time, and it's only going to accelerate the pace of digital transition, not just in our industry, but everywhere. And we would certainly see for us, over the coming years, that we would see an advantage, because we've been working in the digital space now since our first website that we put in place in 1993. Can you believe it? We're early pioneers before I even realised that the website existed. So that was new news to me now.
1993, that takes me back to the GeoCity days and magazines with AOL discs and Netscape Navigator. Do you remember those days?
Yeah, so I was going to try and recall some fantastic bands from the 90s, but I'll probably end up saying one from the 80s, and I'll get corrected. So I'll try to resist it.
Well, I love how you said there, you taking centre stage and changing the way people are working and the way people are thinking. But for people that are not too familiar with what you guys are doing, what do RS do to create a digital transformation culture around the world? The kind of role that they play in all that, would you say?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, as I said before, we're an omni-channel company. So, what we mean is that we're trying to find a way to be easy to do business with, try and give customers the opportunity to interact with us in every which way they want, whether that be through a mobile device, through their desktop, whether they want to speak to one of our sales teams or get technical support through live chat. Digital is all around us, and people often become confused that digital is a website in a business, and actually it's a culture, it's a way of working. We have over 500,000 industrial and electronic products in our portfolio, and it's all about how do we connect those products, those suppliers, those technologies with what we've now got over 1 million customers that are interacting with us over 32 countries. And all of that results in 50,000 parcels a day. So the heart of that has to be a very strong digital transformation culture. So certainly, around digital transformation culture, for us, we lead very much with our purpose as a company, which is making amazing happen. And I believe very strongly, and we believe strongly, that it all starts with an understanding deeply of our customers, and how do we then create a culture of empowered and passionate people who inspire, who can innovate and deliver every day around the world. And one thing that we've found, Neil, is that a lot of this, particularly in the business world, a lot of it's about leadership behaviours at the heart of that. We've got to be agile, we've got to be fast. Companies have got to move at more speed now than ever before. And certainly, there's no place anymore for control and command, hierarchical leadership. Certainly, digital transformation in our world means a completely different mindset. It's about bringing teams together around common outcomes and making them feel inspired. And it doesn't matter where people are based around the world. It's connecting the teams. great example of this, which I just wanted to share, are two things. One, very passionate about inspiring the generations of today and tomorrow. We've done a lot to support education and kids, and a number of our people around the world have been building education kits and things that can help teachers to bring technology and bring really great STEM activity, science, technology, engineering, mathematics activity to kids whilst they're at home, working with the likes of Raspberry Pi and other technologies. And the other we decided to do, which we're really proud of, was setting up a 3D printing farm, both in Corby in the UK, but also in the Americas. And we've been printing the visors for critical health workers, which has been great. And the teams have been coming into the offices to work with the farm and produce products. So, I think digital culture, digital transformation is very much about people feeling inspired. And we're very proud of that, Neil.
Absolutely, and quite rightly too. And another question I've got to ask is, at the beginning of this year, I think everyone had high hopes, not only for a new year, but for a new decade. And a lot has changed since then. So I've got to ask, what was RS Components' digital strategy then? And how will this change post-COVID too? Has much changed since the beginning of the year to now, and your outlook in a post-COVID world?
Well, someone sent me a great caption about the movie Back to the Future, and the caption said it was the professor talking to Marty and said, you can go to any time in the world, just don't go to 2020. I thought that was great. If you've got a time machine, it's probably the year not to come to. Look, from our side as a business, our strategy is very, very clear, and we're very focused on supporting our customers. We're very supported on how we can continue to evolve our digital platforms around the world, and so we've carried on. We've not allowed ourselves to be distracted. We support many vertical industry segments, Neil, such as healthcare, the public sector. We do a lot with the police, with the ambulance service. We do a lot with the military. Equally, we do a lot in food and beverage. We do a lot in utility, telecoms. The list goes on. And so, for us, we've actually lent into this, in a really positive way, because we're proud of what we've been doing to keep the critical industries moving. And whilst, like everybody, there has been, some level of impact because of the markets shifting and moving with lockdown, actually, it's not stopped us from using this as an opportunity to continue to drive the business forward. So ultimately, our vision is very much around becoming first choice for our customers, for our suppliers and our people. We have continued to capitalize having a strong digital presence, but also, as I said before, we've moved very quickly to make sure that our people, our technical people, our salespeople, our customer support teams are able to work remotely through digital means, and we moved very quickly around that. And so we've managed to keep a high level of business continuity. We've managed to make sure that our warehouses have stayed operational around the world. So for us, if anything, it's allowed us to start to shift our thinking to customer needs changing. We can see customers buying differently. We can see that the products that they're looking for are slightly different. We've recently launched a range of product solutions around back to work, how to help organizations and how do we help people with the right products that they need, whether it be masks, whether it be social distancing measures, anything that we can do that's helping, and making sure that that's front and center in our digital experiences for customers to try and help them. And the other thing that we've noticed through this period is a real thirst for personalization. And how do we use data much more to recognize that customers, are changing? They've got different needs and requirements. And so, how do we make sure that we can turn the dials of our digital interfaces for our customers to ensure that we're able to support our customers? So, for us, we definitely feel that there's a step change in the way that we will work in the future. I think that our ways of working will definitely change, but some of that also is allowing us to speed up and to challenge conventional thinking. And actually, in some areas, I think we've managed to accelerate changes within our business more than ever before.
And one of the things I love listening to you today is hearing about the role that digital is playing in enabling you to help other businesses. But I'm curious, how has your digital agenda improved your business performance? And is that something you can expand on at all, if it has?
Yeah, well, we already have globally, we have around 63% of our global revenues come from our online business. And whether that's through the website, whether that's through e-procurement platforms that we operate, and also some solutions that we operate through digital means. And we've actually seen a continued increase in the number of customers that are visiting our channels. And we're seeing customers that are coming to us that have never come to us before. We're seeing an increase in business to consumer, B2C customers. We've been very much a B2B supported organization, but in many of our markets, we're seeing a high increase there. As customers are looking for more digital means or routes of supply that they had where they would have typically gone to a local, outlet or whatever it may be. I think we've had a strength as a company because we have been very strong digitally. Equally, we've been able to move the supply chain around the world. So because we're a global company, we've been shipping products between our warehouses, making sure that where we have got or had shortage of supply, or where there is shortage of supply in the market, we're able to play some tunes there to ensure that we're moving our inventory around. And equally, we've stood up some new sourcing routes around the world as well to make sure we can keep continuity of supply. So no, I think it's benefited us. I mean, clearly, as I said before, we have many customers that have continued to trade, and some customers that are spending more now than they were spending before because of the crisis. Think about the food industry as a good example, and some changes there. Equally, we've got customers that sadly have been very impacted by the crisis, and we're doing what we can to support them and be there for them and help them through their crisis as we go. So that's really for us how we would look at that optimistically and positively, and which I think is what we have to do as a business. And then what can we do as a company to use this period to make sure that we build a stronger business for the future? And that's been very much at the heart of our focus internally as well.
And as we continue to move forward and navigate through these uncharted digital waters, is there any advice that you'd give to any leaders listening out there on what businesses can do to better prepare themselves and future-proof their companies in this increasingly digital world?
I think that's a great question, Neil. For me, it starts with culture. It has to start there. If you're a business that's still operating in a slow, non-agile way, if you're not enabling empowerment of your people to bring the ideas forward, if you've not got innovation right at the heart of your DNA as a business, then I don't think in a modern world that you'll succeed. And so again, that starts with leadership style and how you want to create a agile business for the future. And then around that, being deeply rooted to your customers and what their needs are, and being able to be flexible and be able to move your business and to pivot linked to the experiences that they're seeking. We've found an opportunity during this crisis to be pivoting into some really exciting projects and some areas which we wouldn't have expected to be part of. We've been part of some, government-led ventilator programs where we've been part of the supply chain around that. And it's made us start thinking about new products, new suppliers, new innovations. I think businesses really need to look at building their own digital platforms, but be agile with it. As I said before, one size certainly doesn't fit all. We know that customers of today are choosing to transact more digitally, and they want to interface as well. So people, again, think often about a website, but it might be that they don't want to necessarily have a visit from somebody anymore, but they're quite happy to talk through digital means. And are companies adjusting? Are they shifting? Are they enabling their people to be thinking and acting much more digital? And I do believe that when customers, do eventually emerge from their homes post the pandemic, which is starting to happen, there'll be some really significant revenue losses that they've experienced. And so, there's going to be an opportunity, I think, for businesses to start to pivot and to think differently about their organizations, thinking about utilization of data, thinking about more automation. And really, for us, that's very much at the heart of our business is how do you continue to just think about the customer and think about what you need to be in the future to serve that customer? Because if you don't, somebody else is going to be doing it and you probably won't exist.
Love that advice there, because I think it's so important that people are not afraid to pivot and embrace innovation and also ensure their companies are much more agile. And there is a lot of uncertainty at the moment. A lot of people are very anxious, but I'd love to end on a positive note. So what is it that excites you or makes you hopeful about the road ahead?
Well, I think you've always got to be thinking more optimistically. At some point in time, we'll find the vaccine, and, this is something that we can hopefully put behind us. And so, we have a responsibility as a company around the world to help industry, and everybody needs to eat. Everybody needs power. Everybody needs to be thinking about the future. And so, we're very optimistic and excited about the role that we play in that, both in terms of supporting our customers, but also developing the skills of the next generation of engineers, which we're passionate about. I'm really excited about how adaptable we've been as an organization. The fact that we're willing to challenge conventional thinking, and I think that there's been a release of energy in people that I've not seen before. That real thirst for change, and people challenging themselves to think about what the world is going to be. So I think it's accelerating that mindset that says, how do we use digital and technology, and how do we use data to inform what we do more and more? I'm a big believer that even in great adversity, Neil, there can be great opportunities. And so, taking action now so that we're well positioned around for whatever's going to come out of this crisis, I think will set the business up. We can see the customer buying behavior changing. And I think that we have to continue to not be complacent. And I'm excited actually about the way the teams are thinking about the next iterations of our digital experience, how we can continue to improve the online experience, taking the learns through this crisis to make us stronger. And one of those examples during the first half of this year, we'll launch a completely rebuilt RS mobile first responsive website. And we believe that's really going to make a step change for anybody that's wanting to come and experience working with us, and making sure that they can just have a great, easy to do business with experience. And at the same time, continue to try and find a way that we can personalize our experience more for our customers. So my final point here would be, we've got a very strong foundation, and that excites me. We were in the top 10 of Britain's best tech employees last year, and that made us all very proud. And I think that allows us to give us real hope that we've built some strong foundations. With a strong tailwind of coming out of this crisis, we hope that we can continue to pivot and grow into the future.
So much food for thought in our conversation there. And for anyone that would like to continue to follow you guys and the great work that you're doing, or maybe even reach out and contact a member of your team, could you point everyone in the direction of the best way they can do that and carry this conversation on that we started today?
Absolutely. Well, just come to RS Components website anywhere in the world. We normally come up at the top of Google. So if you want to come and connect with us that way, the details are there. But equally, feel free to reach out through telephone and through the old world and talk to some of our team. They're always on hand to help.
Fantastic. Well, a few moments ago, you was talking about how consumer behaviour is rapidly changing. And I think you really hit the nail on the head there. I think it was only, 4 months ago that most people avoided video calls and video conferencing like the plague. But now even our grandparents are actively using or making Zoom calls every day. So there's a huge change on its own there. And along with that thirst for change, I think more and more businesses are starting to leverage technology and looking or exploring how to create new opportunities in this time of crisis. And I think you covered so much of that beautifully. So I'd love to stay in touch with you, maybe get you on again later on in the year, see how things are going.
Neil, I would love that. And just a really great in the moment example. I walked into my 12-year-old son who was on a Zoom's call today. He has his school virtually now. And it just amazed me. He had the teacher doing the Zoom call, teaching the class. On his iPad on the right-hand side, he was on Instagram with 4 of his classmates as if they were sitting next to him in the classroom. And on a mobile phone on the left-hand side, he had another 4 of his mates on some other platform. I'm not even sure what it was. But they were all interacting. They were all communicating. They were laughing. They were joking with one another. Firstly, I thought that's why my own computer never works when I want to speak to somebody. But secondly, it just made me also realize about what the next generation is going to be bringing with them in terms of their life experience. And I think COVID-19 has accelerated that. But I think that this is just something that all of us have to be considerate of. This is a changing world. And when my son, who's now 12, comes to work in the next, 6 to 8 years, what type of world is he going to want to work in? What type of experiences is he going to want? Because, when I saw him doing his schooling this morning, he didn't have any consciousness that he wasn't sitting in the classroom, with his friends. For him, that was just normal. And I think that's just something for us all to take away.
Absolutely. And finally, before I do let you go, I've got to say, after 1,250 interviews, you're only the second fellow Derby County fan that I've spoken with. So but if by some glimmer of hope, now the football season's back up and running, we make it to the playoff final, maybe we should meet and have a cold beer then. If not, we'll meet for a podcast later in the year. But thanks again for joining me today.
Thanks, Neil.
Where do I start on the value bombs dropped by Mike in today's episode? And I love the rich history of the company and how they have not been afraid to pivot, embrace innovation and leverage technology to continue to thrive. But I think outside of RS, I think Mike's personal story of life inside his own home was incredibly powerful, because when you see your teenage kids juggling multiple video calls across a myriad of screens on smartphones, tablets and computers, what you're actually observing here is what will be expected in the workplace 8 years from now. And that moment alone needs to be taken incredibly serious, because if you cling to old ideas and the old ways of working, what was once considered your greatest asset could soon become your biggest liability. And you just run the risk of getting left behind. But that's just my opinion. So this is the moment where I turn the virtual microphone back over to you and ask you to share your opinions, your experiences, by simply emailing me, techblogwriter@outlook.com. Remember, you can also connect with me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, all the usual suspects, by looking for me at Neil C. Hughes. And don't forget, you can also access over 1,250 podcast interviews now over on my website, techblogwriter.co.uk. But if you've had more than enough for one day, I completely understand that. All I ask is you meet me here tomorrow, same time, same place, and we'll do it all again. So a big thank you for listening. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.